Welcome back to the homestead. Thought I'd give you a quick tour of what I got done so far this week. It's not really a whole lot. We've had a lot of rain this week, and pretty much all day Saturday we got rain, and the temperatures at night this week have been down in the 20s, so it hasn't left me much time for doing block work, because you really need to mix your mortar and have it set at 40 or higher, and days when I can mix mortar are getting hard to come by, so trying to fill in my time doing other odds and ends as I can, and on the occasion that we do get a warm enough day to do mortar, then I jump back on the block work. But let me show you what I've got done. As far as the blocks go on the south wall, the end column here is 2 blocks high, and that's as high as that column is going to go. All the middle columns are only 1 block high, so I still have 5 columns I've got to add one row of blocks to, and then the end column down there is at full height, which is 2 blocks. Now there's a lot of blocks stacked here. That's just so that I could get up above the rebar and then cap it off so that they wouldn't fill up with rain before I get them backfilled. So that's 5 columns that I've got to go 1 block higher on for that row. And this center row is going to be a solid wall from side to side. That's about 109 blocks. It'll be 3 blocks high, and I haven't even gotten that one started. And then down here on the north row, the 2 end columns are 4 blocks high. They need to go up 6 blocks, so I got 2 more to do on those. And then all of the 5 middle columns are 2 blocks high, so I've got 4 more blocks, or 4 more rows to go on all the interior columns. So like I said, I still got a lot of block work to do. It's just a matter of finding enough time that it's above 40 so that my mortar has time to cure. In the meantime, I'm trying to occupy my time. If it's too cold to do mortar, all of this fill dirt that's here in the middle and full of rocks, I'm picking the rocks out of that to where I can shovel it by hand. A lot of that's going to backfill around these columns and also around these walls. So I have started backfilling in around some of the walls by hand. As you can see here, I've got a few feet of the north wall filled mostly in, and the east wall is pretty close to height. It still needs a little bit more added to it and then to be smoothed down. This is where my septic lines are going to come in, so I'm not filling that in right now. And then the south wall here, it needs a couple more inches. It's just a little bit low, but I've got to get a little bit more in there. There was another row of fill dirt right here. You can see I've got most of it shoveled out and using that to fill in around everything. So I should have plenty to finish raising the edges of these walls all the way up to height. And then on this west wall, I pretty much got to fill the whole thing in. I haven't gotten very much of it done yet. And then back to the north corner, or the north wall, and you can see I've got probably a little over 2/3 of that still to do. So dirt work is what's filling my time when it's too cold to do blocks. And then all of those rocks that I'm pulling out, I'm just putting over here in a pile until I've got a front end loader out here that I can scoop these up and get them moved away from the house site. You can see I got more piles of dirt there to do something with. And more piles of dirt back here to do something with. And I started working a little bit, filling in the outside of this wall so I don't have such a large area to have to step over this ditch and over the wall and over interior ditch. It makes it a lot easier to step over whenever both sides of it are backfilled in and you're just stepping over 2 blocks. And I don't know if that'll show up in these shadows here, but this side of the wall I have filled in pretty much completely up to grade all the way down. So at least that won't be holding water. I still need to get the north side of the north wall filled in, but I may wait until I have the 9-in out here and just run the box blade back and forth to break everything loose and not have to do quite as much shovel work. And again, over here on the west wall, you can see I've got quite a bit of work to do on that one still too. And I need to mark where these conduits are so that after it's all backfilled, whenever I'm ready to come in those with the water and electricity, I'll know exactly where they are in case they get filled in too. And that's pretty much where I'm at. I did a little work on the garden, cleaned up my apple trees, and I'm training to be espalier on the fence. And so far those all look pretty good. I'll walk you down there and give you a quick tour of that as well. I've got I think it was 8 or 9 apple trees planted on my garden fence that I'm gonna train to be espaliered. And they're all heritage brand apples. I got them from I think it was Century Farms out of North Carolina. This is a Carolina Red June, and you can see I've got the cane pole here with the limbs, training them to come out. And I'm going to have a limb coming out about every 16 inches going each way. Each one of these trees will wind up being about 10 foot wide. It'll stretch from pole to pole there, and the poles are 8 foot high, and that's about where I'm going to top the tree out at. So I should have probably about 5 limbs on each side of it, spanning probably about 4 to 5 feet each direction. So each one of these trees is going to be kept pretty small by pruning, and they're going to be one-dimensional. The limbs will only come off of the 2 sides. When you look at it from this angle, there won't be anything but the one set of limbs. So they won't be round and bushy like a tree would normally grow. This is a Gala apple, and you can see I've got 4 limbs already coming out on it like I want. And up here towards the top, I've got another one that had just started coming out that'll be ready for that second to last limb. Here is a Virginia Beauty, and that one really only has 2 limbs coming out on it so far. It's kind of small of all of them that I've planted. This is a Virginia Gold, and it only has the one limb coming off the side of it there, right here, and it's pretty small. I just planted all these trees last spring, so they've got a ways to go yet. They were just little whips whenever I planted them. This is a Hope's Antique Gold, and I've got 4 limbs coming off on it, so it started training pretty good. We got the one limb here, 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 and here, and you can see they're all growing up fairly well. I expect they'll probably all reach full height next year, as far as I'm going to let them grow. This is a pound apple, and I've got 2 limbs on it. Got this 3rd limb that I'm going to start training out, but it really isn't. I don't want it to come out from so far down, so if I can get a limb to come out closer to the right height, then I'll prune this one off later. But for now, I'm gonna let it go. This is a Rawls Janet, and this was the absolute smallest one that I planted. So I don't really have any side limbs growing out that I'm training yet. This is going to be the main leader of the tree, and then I'm going to train this one out for one of the sides, but I haven't tied it down, and I probably will wait till springtime to do that. And then this is a Granny Smith apple, and it had a limb coming out here, and I believe it got some kind of a blight on it at the end of the summer, so I trimmed that off, and then it just left me with this one side shoot. Of course, the main leader is going up pretty high, so I'm not sure if that one's gonna mature to a healthy tree or if I'm gonna have to replace it. I don't know if the blight is all the way in the wood. This top doesn't look exactly healthy to me, so it may wind up getting replaced. I'm not sure, but that's my apple orchard, and I've got a few trees that I've planted outside of the garden and I'm going to allow to get full size. And the reason I planted those outside of the garden and I'm letting them grow full size is those are going to be the trees that I want to make cider out of. So I'm actually looking for a larger production of them than most of these other apples. But the selection that I have should produce apples from the earliest bearing apple, and then some of these can actually have apples on them all the way through early December. So I should have a pretty long season of apples, but yet not a huge glut of apples where I've got more apples than I know what to do with, but just enough that pretty much any time through the summer, if we want to come out for a snack in the garden, there's an apple hanging there and we can pick it. There's also a combination of eating apples, cooking apples, canning apples, apples that are sweet, apples that are tart, apples that have kind of a mixed flavor. So just a good round selection of apples. That's where I'm at this week, and hopefully I'll get a little bit better weather next week and can get a little bit more work done on those blocks. I'd really like to finish up all the concrete work on this thing and start doing some framing. Get this house going so that we can get moved out here. Alright, join us next time.